like to call the meeting to order. If you would stand for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome everyone who's also watching from home. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee DeVore?
Present.
Trustee Gett?
Present.
Trustee Kazam? Trustee Reichert?
Present.
Trustee Wigginton?
Present.
Trustee Weisenberg?
Present.
We would be at the approval of the minutes from the Board of Trustees meeting on December 19th, 2023. I'd ask for a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes. Any questions or corrections? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. We'd be at comments from the audience on agenda items, so if anyone here tonight would like to address the board, please come forward to the podium, give your name and address, and try and keep your remarks under 5 minutes. Comments from the audience open. Going once, twice. Comments from the audience are closed. We'd be at old business. Any old business to come before the board?
One thing, Mr. Mayor and Chief, if you could, I know kind of what we're doing tonight, but I had a question. We had previously gone through this and approved the addition of another police officer. I wanted to know if we have any update on that and if that position is going to be filled or not.
No, we have not filled that position yet. We're going through applications now, so hopefully we'll have an applicant in the next few weeks and move forward with that hire. So, yep, thanks. I just had one update, Mayor. The notification system we've been working on will be live February 1st, and remember, this will be opt-in only through our website. You won't automatically be opted in. You have to go and do that yourself, what you want to receive alerts from, police, fire, water, but we'll be live February 1st.
Thank you. Any other old business? Let's get right into new business. The first of 3 appointments. Council, is it okay with you if we vote on these collectively unless someone wants to divide the question?
I agree with that, yes.
Okay. And before we get to that, would you mind giving an explanation of what the Police and Fire Commission duties are, please?
Sure. Police and Fire Commission, which we recently had to sort of revise because we've not had a full-time fire department to include fire, is primarily responsible for determinations of appointments to the full-time positions on the police and fire department. Also discipline and discharge decisions, which fortunately we don't have to deal with very often.
Okay, thank you very much for that. So we would be at the appointment of Mr. Nick McCumber, the appointment of Mr. Jeff Shields, and the appointment of Mr. Greg Walters. And Council, again, this is a 3-person board, correct?
Correct, 3 people.
Okay. Madam Clerk, do you have the bios handy? I know they were sent out. Mike, do you have those handy?
Yes, they are in the board packets.
Just for, this is a very important position, so would you mind reading those 3 bios for the record, please?
Nick McCumber, 63, is the day shift sergeant and crime prevention officer on the Bradley University Police Department, where he has worked 10 years following a 25-year career with the Peoria Heights Police Department. He previously served with the Peoria Heights Fire and ambulance squads as well. A member of the 1978 class of Peoria Heights High School and the now defunct Gardner Grade School before that, McCumber has spent most of his life in or around the Heights. He also owns a bachelor's degree from Bradley with a double major in biology and sociology. He married Stephanie 29 years ago, and together they are the parents of 4 adult children and the grandparents of 1. Jeff Shields, 59, is the Director of Sales for TADA Cognitive Solutions, the Peoria-based supply chain / healthcare software company, where he has worked for the past 22 years. He is a graduate of Eastern Illinois University with a degree in education. Shields grew up in Peoria Heights, where his father, Jack, worked as a police officer for 25 years and also volunteered with the Heights Fire Department, and his mother, Joanne, served as Richwood Township trustee and a police pension board member. He currently lives in the Heights with his wife Jennifer, and they are parents of 4 adult children. They are members of St. Thomas Catholic Church in the Heights and have volunteered for multiple causes, including Easter Seals of Central Illinois and Children's Hospital of Illinois. Greg Walters, 68, is a 42-year resident of Peoria Heights and a former fire chief in the village. A firefighter by profession, Walters rose through the ranks of the Peoria Fire Department over a 28-year career, ultimately becoming assistant fire chief. He was chief of fire investigations in the city of Peoria for 17 years. Walters' affiliation with the Peoria Heights Fire Department actually spanned 33 years, starting as a volunteer and culminating with his elevation to chief of the volunteer department, a position he held for 8 years until his retirement in 2021. Meanwhile, Walters was the fire science coordinator at Illinois Central College for a full decade, ending in 2018. Prior to that, he served in the military for 22 years between stints in the U.S. Air Force and the Air National Guard. Walters is married to Terry, the daughter of a former Heights board member, trustee Jeanette Hillier, and together they have 2 adult children and 5 grandchildren.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. At this point, I would ask for a motion to appoint Mr. McCumber, Mr. Shields, and Mr. Walters to the Board of Police and Fire Commissioners.
I make a motion to appoint.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Just thank you all for your willingness to serve. You are going to be busy as we begin to hire fire personnel, so this job will take a little bit of time, but I know you're all well qualified, so I appreciate your offer to serve. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Trustee DeVore?
Aye.
Trustee Gett?
Aye.
Trustee Reichert?
Aye.
Trustee Wigginton?
Aye.
Trustee Weisenberg?
Aye.
All right, that passes. Next is Resolution 2024-1, a resolution of the Village of Peoria Heights accepting a proposal from Woodard and Curran for professional services for evaluation and water system ownership and potential sales considerations. Trustee Reichert, I'd ask for a motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve.
In a second, please.
Second.
All right, back to you, Trustee Reichert.
Okay, we got a what do I call it, a quote? Is this a
Proposal?
A proposal, thank you, from Woodard and Kern, basically to move forward with having them see what the requirements for the water system and the details of just moving forward.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Wayne, anything else you?
Yeah, we've discussed this before. These are really due diligence period and gathering facts, some of which we know, but, we'll go over them and finally present these findings to the board, probably in a public session where we have public comments. So, again, it's issues with rates, it's issues with upcoming regulatory requirements that either if we sell or don't sell, there are going to be challenges for the system. So, again, this is a not-to-exceed contract for about $20,000 to get through this phase. So we expect at the end of this phase that there will be an opportunity for the board to make a decision, if you wish, to proceed or not. So we hope to gather enough facts that, there is a breaking point where you could do that. At the end of this phase, if you do proceed to pursue the selling of the water system, there'd be more expenses for other investigations and proceeding ahead with that, like appraisals and issuance of an RFP, things like that. So this can be as complex or not complex as you wish, but we thought this was, in discussions with Woodard and Kern, a good place to be as far as gathering this input. And again, to save money, they will be on a Zoom call. That's what we propose at this point to make their final presentation. But again, our goal is to give you the facts, not to give you the answers, but give you the facts so you can make a good decision at that point.
Thank you, Mr. Alders. So we're open for discussion.
Yeah, I've got a few questions, Mayor. The $20,000, will that come out of the water-controlled accounts, or will that come out of the general fund?
I would imagine water-controlled accounts.
Okay. Some of the things that were listed in the RFP, were these some of the items that were covered previously when we had what are current here, like evaluate current operations, evaluate financial impact, compare projected rates. We did a rate analysis. We evaluated operations and staffing and customer sat. I mean, we did all this previously. What are
I think we're taking those to another extent. Like for rates, we're doing what we can do to compare our proposed rates with potentially Illinois American rates or another proposer's rate.
Okay.
So giving you a little bit better information so you can kind of see where that
Right.
heads. A lot of things, you're right, were considered in the capital plan. So we're going to relook at that and see if there's anything that we weren't included, and then kind of reiterate those facts to you. I mean, it's been a while since we've seen that. Operationally, there are some additional things to consider. I know staff recently did a operational analysis comparing, you know, how it affects the budget and other operational issues. And we discussed the tower here. What if we sell? What's the status of the tower, and what are expenses that we would have to have, you know, if we did that? So things like that. So I think taking it to the next level would be my general answer.
phase 2?
Not phase 2, no. We aren't there
We'll
yet.
get there. We'll get there someday.
We aren't really there yet, but.
Okay, so are they planning on coming back into town to complete some of this?
I think
I just
that-
don't, not to say they are, I just don't want them to copy and paste what they've done previously and
No,
slap.
that's
$20,000.
not our intention.
Okay.
Is the you know, you may have seen information before presented in a different fashion. But
Okay.
a lot of this stuff, that's, you know, they had proposed a much bigger expense for this project. And that's what we've been talking about. You know, they've done some things before. Let's kind of just present that in a new light with new information.
Anyone else?
I do have the same thoughts about this as Trustee Weisenberg. Just looking over what Woodard and Kern has already presented in the Water System Capital Improvement Plan fiscal year 2024 through 2043. They go into pretty good detail on the water rate analysis, which is what compare projected rates with other known Illinois American rates. They did that already.
Not to interrupt, sorry, but I think in my world, it's nice to show it differently sometimes, like in a trend analysis, that type of thing. Here's our rates, the trend, and here's what Illinois American rates are looking like. And then also more information on from other communities, that type of thing.
Well, I appreciate that, Wayne, and I would, I mean, obviously I opened up for any more additional information. I just worry that we're getting a lot of the information we already have for 20 grand, and we're not going forward. We're not getting any, I mean, the appraisal, I understand that would be in the next phase. We're not calling it phase 2, but whatever comes after 1. And we have, you know, when we're talking about what we're doing, summarize benefits and impacts of municipal-owned utilities versus investor-owned utilities. My concern is I don't want the thumb on the scales. I want it straight and narrow. I want us to have the facts and not a scale. We're not going to put it on whether the benefits of municipal-owned versus investor-owned. I want it straight and narrow. Give us the facts and nothing but the facts.
That's our intention. You know, everyone has a bias, so we're going to try to present this in a non-biased, factual manner. But I can tell you, everyone has a bias. As far as the decision, you know, you can make a decision at any time.
So, I mean,
This is just to give you more information.
as far as the water rate analysis is concerned, this board took what has been previously done and raised the rates 10%. So if we're going to get more information than what we already have, well, God, that's good, because we used what they had already given us and raised the rates 10%.
Yeah. Again, it's a better, more complete analysis based on a comparison. You know, not as much as, here's our rates. Our rates are proposed to support our capital.
One additional thing, so when they came in with the kind of the Cadillac plan, Wayne, did that include the appraisal?
No, it did not.
Okay.
When we discussed this as a board, though, we had talked about we needed to know what it was going to do to our actual working budget that we currently have with the water department, because there are several things funded through that. So this board asked for, administration to ask Woodard and Kern for that. That was our main thing. And when I sat in on the meeting with Woodard and Kern, I thought they got a pretty clear grasp of what we were asking for. It didn't seem to me like they were going to give us the runaround. They even agreed that we needed to have a deeper dive to determine what would happen with the tower, what would happen with, if we take away the water department, like what happens with the things that are funded out of that fund. But that was the main thing we asked for, was that information when we asked us, administration to go to Woodard and Kern.
I think you're not, I think you're correct, but I would also say a bottom line is going to be rates. I think the board and, the public may need to see things in a different fashion too, just as a factual comparison. So I just think that's important that we're very clear on that, because but I do agree the operational issues and how it affects the budget is a prime point too.
And you make a good point, Mr. Aldridge. The information is not only for the consumption by the board, but the public as well. I thought the board directed us to also hold public forums and have Woodard and Kern here to answer questions. So I believe we just did what you asked us to. If you choose not to approve this, that's fine. If you already have all the information you need, then I would vote against it.
I just think one thing that would be helpful is knowing how much, when we have Illinois American Water here and they're giving us a presentation, if we know how much the water company is worth, we keep kind of kicking that around, and then they come in and talk to us, and what's the point if we don't know if they're offering us a good deal or not? So I think just the facts is really what I know.
Well, and I would, that's a good point, Trustee Wigginton. If board members have made up their mind to not sell or to sell, and they don't need any more information, then we can save a lot of time and effort if your mind is made up.
I just don't need the same information for $20,000.
Okay, anyone else? All right, Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Trustee DeVore?
Aye.
Trustee Gett?
Nay.
Trustee Reichert?
Nay.
Trustee Wigginton?
Nay.
Trustee Weisenberg?
One second. What was that count again?
I was a yes, everyone else
You're the
was a no.
tiebreaker.
I'm the tiebreaker?
No, I'm kidding.
Been in that seat before. Yeah.
Aye.
Aye. Sorry.
Thank you. No, just making sure I heard you right.
I believe it's 3-2 against. Is that correct, Madam Clerk?
Correct.
All right, so the motion
That fails.
fails. All right, we will move on to the next item of business. Approval of ordinance 2024-1722, an ordinance amending Title I, Chapter 8, Article F of the Village Code of the Village of Peoria Heights, providing for fire department personnel. Trustee Wigginton, I'd ask for a motion to approve.
I move to approve ordinance 2024-1722.
Second, please.
Second.
Okay, back to you, Trustee Wigginton.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this is a complete addition of Section 1-8F-2, basically providing what we've already funded at our last meeting with $454,000. The addition of full-time members of the fire department. This will add, defines part-time as well as paid on-call. It kind of goes into what we'd be looking for as far as training and spelling out some duties of those firefighters, as well as how they interplay with our existing chief.
Okay, thank you. Any questions?
Was this a new amendment or ordinance, or is this a?
It is. We've never had that before. Our ordinance stopped with the chief and assistant chief
Okay.
positions because we didn't have any employee positions. So
I couldn't
now that
find
we
it.
plan to do that, it makes sense to have an ordinance that dictates. For example, for the full-time members, the board chooses, this board chooses the number of full-time firefighters, and we also choose the budget. The Police and Fire Commission actually appoints the individuals to those positions.
Okay.
So we tell them how many positions to fill, and they fill them.
I understand. And this ordinance, was this developed by the fire chief?
I worked with Dan on this, so yes, he consulted with me, and that's where we got the paid on call, which he thought was an option that we wanted to at least have available, and of course, part-time.
And the fire chief was okay with this ordinance?
Yes.
It's his ordinance, I would say,
Okay. All right. Thank you.
like the Weisenberg plan.
No, not the Weisenberg plan.
Just teasing, okay. Any other questions? Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Trustee DeVore?
Aye.
Trustee Gatt?
Aye.
Trustee Reichert?
Aye.
Trustee Wigginton?
Aye.
Trustee Weisenberg?
Aye.
All right, that passes. Next is approval of the consent agenda. Trustee DeVore, I'd look to you and ask for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Is there a second? All right, and these are routine things that come before us annually. We're just trying to save you a little bit of time, but if you'd like to pull any of those individually, you may do so. If not, any comment or discussion on the motion? All right. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Trustee DeVore?
Aye.
Trustee Gatt?
Aye.
Trustee Reichert?
Aye.
Trustee Wigginton?
Aye.
Trustee Weisenberg?
Aye.
All right, that passes. Before we move on to miscellaneous, I just would like to say to those of you who did vote against the Woodard and Curran proposal, at some point, I hope you would give myself or your administrator direction. I shouldn't read too much into things, but I'm going to assume that some of you have made up your mind not to sell, and if that's a reason you voted no, that's what I'm thinking, but you don't have to do it tonight, but at some point, please give us some direction on where you want to head with all this, and what the next steps will be. Okay, we'd be at miscellaneous business.
Mayor, I got a question. So the 3 members that we appointed tonight to the Police and Fire Commission, so does that commission have a total of 3 members?
Yes.
Okay, so we had 3 retiring members, and then we appointed 3 new members?
Yeah, well, actually, so we hadn't made any appointments to that since they were dealing primarily with police, and the chief had been doing mainly hiring of lateral transfers. There became a need to get this board back into action. I believe former Mayor Pitzel was one of the members, and then he moved to Bueller Home. I believe former trustee Bob Spencer was a member. Bob unfortunately passed away last year. So it was time to make new appointments anyway, but the timing of this, there was a little bit of a sense of urgency to get this done because council, they are involved in the testing and the hiring, correct?
Correct.
So that's why I got it to you real quickly.
Yeah, when I simplified and said that the commission does the hiring, they're also involved in the testing protocols and, how we're going to test, how frequently we test, sort of the parameters of the testing, things like that. So we needed them up front before we even get testing in place to recruit candidates.
And that would be for both the police department and the fire department?
The fire and the police are totally different as far as hiring and the promotional process and everything else, because I know the fire department doesn't have a lateral transfer program, so it's a little bit different. So they are going to be busy here on the onset because it's the creation of the full-time positions, but the police department's a little bit different. Their duties are smaller as far as what's asked of them as far as promotion and discipline, so.
Anyone else? All right, we're at miscellaneous.
One additional miscellaneous item, Mr. Mayor, if I may. So an issue that has come to light recently for me is the question of how a trustee here in the village of Peoria Heights who feels passionately about a topic can get that issue listed on the agenda. This is important because the Illinois Open Meetings Act requires a topic to be listed on the agenda in order for action to be taken on that topic. I therefore reached out to the executive director of the Illinois Municipal League, Brad Cole, to see what other sister Illinois governments do in circumstances and what did IML recommend we do here in the village of Peoria Heights. Mr. Cole stated that this could be dictated by ordinance, and the recommendation was that if 2 or more trustees request an issue be listed on the agenda, then that issue shall be listed under new business. Our ordinances are currently silent on who sets the agenda, and how a trustee can have that item placed on the agenda for consideration. I did look at other municipalities and their ordinance code, and the ones I looked at, the Village of Northbrook, the Village of Winfield, and the Village of Buffalo Grove, all have opportunities for trustees to be able to add a topic as an action item to the agenda. So if I can get agreement from my fellow trustees tonight, I would ask a commitment from the mayor to make this an action item for the agenda on our February 6th meeting. Thank you.
Well, just to respond, I think I'm very easy to get along with as far as putting things on the agenda. It's not what you asked, it's how you did it. You just sent out a blanket email to everyone on the board, and I didn't choose not to put it on a future agenda. I chose not to put it on this agenda because you emailed it last week when we were getting close to sending out the agenda. Also, I didn't hear any response from any other trustee by phone or any other way of communication asking for that to be placed on the agenda. So for several reasons, I chose not to put it on the agenda tonight, but every trustee, every member of this board has the right to bring up any topic under miscellaneous business. And I always add miscellaneous business to the agenda, and you've had your chance tonight to bring that up. So if there are other trustees who would like the topic that you emailed out, which is a public document, I would prefer to talk about it in open session, not by email conversation with the entire board, but if other trustees would like it on the agenda, I will put it on the agenda. Also in your email, you included a boilerplate ordinance, and I rely on Village Council here to provide me guiding this organization with legal advice. I did speak with him about that, and we can get into that if you'd like. So I didn't make a unilateral decision just on the way you did it. I spoke with the administrator, who also is a police chief. I spoke with Council Walton at length about this and decided, at least for now, because of the other issues we had on the agenda tonight, especially the appointment of the Police and Fire Commission, I chose not to put it on the agenda, but it can be on the agenda in the future if you would like it.
Mr. Mayor, my concern this evening is the opportunity for trustees to be able to add items to the agenda if two or more trustees request that that item be added. The ordinance that I looked at was from Buffalo Grove, and it says, quote, "The agenda shall be prepared under the direction of the village manager and shall include such matters as the manager or village president shall determine, matters previously set by corporate authorities for the particular meeting, including matters postponed to such date, and matters requested by at least two trustees." So I would ask that, as far as getting an action item on our next agenda, that if two or more trustees request that an action item be taken, that item be listed on the agenda. That's my question for tonight, and I'd ask that get commitment for the next agenda, Mr.
I have never denied a trustee putting anything on the agenda. I might have put it off, but I've never denied it indefinitely. So, and a board, and correct me if I'm wrong, council, any board can adopt rules how you want to govern yourself. So if you wanted to adopt that rule, I don't know if that needs to be in the form of an ordinance, but I can tell you that there's never been anything brought to me that I just absolutely indefinitely refuse to put on the agenda. But what you brought, to me, it's more like introducing Washington and Springfield politics to local government, and I felt that didn't really have a place in this arena. It's a polarizing topic. And I'd also ask you, you're also on the township board, correct?
I'm not a board member.
But
no.
you're on the township board?
I'm not a board member. I'm the clerk of the
You're not the township clerk?
I am the
Okay.
clerk of the Ridgewood
So
Township.
I believe under the Illinois Constitution, townships are tasked with three things in Illinois. One, maintaining township roads, which the township here, Richwoods, does not have township roads. Two, placing a fair market value by the assessor on commercial and residential property. And three, providing general assistance to those people in need and emergency assistance. So may I ask you, has the township done anything as far as planning for this?
Mayor, in terms of what I'm proposing tonight, as far as getting two trustees, if they come and ask that an item be listed, that's not relevant to the township. The only thing that I'm requesting this evening is that we have, if two trustees come to the mayor and request that an action item be listed on the agenda per the Illinois Open Meetings Act, that item be listed. That's all I'm requesting, Mr. Mayor.
I'm telling you, I gave you my answer, yes. So
So that can be an action item on our February 6th meeting?
if other trustees would like that, yes. So you asked for two. If there's a second one that wants it on the agenda, it'll be on the agenda.
Go ahead.
No,
Sorry,
no.
Trustee Weisberg.
I would like time to digest. I'm not necessarily opposed to it, but I think there's some drama behind this that I think kind of muddies the water on this question. It would be definitely something I would like to consider.
I'm just concerned, as it exists now, and as our code is silent on this issue, it comes down to a single gatekeeper to what the agenda is. And if the Illinois Open Meetings Act requires that in order for action to be taken, that item be listed and that item not be listed on the agenda, then it really puts action at a disadvantage.
If I could just make one comment real quickly. I understand what you're saying, Trustee Wigington. My personal experience with getting things on the agenda, and I've had some items that I've had requested be added to the agenda over the years. Some of them popular, some of them not so popular. And I've always found the mayor to be pretty fair on getting those items listed. Typically, when we discuss items during miscellaneous business, we make a verbal agreement to have it added to the next meeting. Is that what you want codified in our ordinance, or are you saying if two or more trustees email the mayor,
Then that shall be listed
automatically?
as a new business item, which can be debated or deferred or tabled at that time.
And I'm okay with that.
I
just gotta say this.
One second, Jeff, and I'll get to you next.
My preference is always to codify to me, that's a procedural rule, how we set the agenda, is to codify all the procedural rules. I can add it into the Board of Trustees section of the city code. It's a simple one sentence, any two or more trustees request an item be added to the agenda, it'll be added to the next agenda. No reason not to codify that.
Can we do that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
It'll be on the next agenda.
I just want to make sure that you're not asking for us to put an ordinance together to where, in order to get an agenda on here, we have to have at least two trustees, because all the years I've been on here, we've never had, as long as you got to them in time before they set out the agenda, you didn't need agreement with somebody else. I mean, because we all are here for the village, and we out our voice, and we want to have it on the agenda and talk about it, but I don't think we need to make another rule that we have to have two trustees in order for something to get on the agenda. Now, if you're talking about the thing you emailed us all about, I mean, I'm willing to discuss it on the next agenda, but I don't think we need to make another ordinance for it, make it a requirement that it has to be two trustees, because sometimes it just works better to, hey, I got something I want to talk about. You talk to Dustin, you talk to Mayor Phelan, and it'll get on there as long as you give them enough time. That's all I have to say on that.
Anyone else? All right, so again, looking for a consensus here. So we want council to put something in writing, bring it back for approval. Is that what I'm hearing? Okay.
I'll do it.
Any other miscellaneous? All right, we're back at general comments from the audience. Anyone would like to comment, make a general comment to the board? We're open for that. So if you would, please come forward, give your name and address, try and keep your remarks under 5 minutes. Comments going once, twice? Yes. Yes, Jay, please come forward to the...
Hello, I'm Jay Gruber, 3814 North Monroe, Peoria Heights, Illinois. Just wanted to say that the idea of allowing the new rule through sounds hopeful and may make it easier for us to have all our stuff be working correctly and those things get on the agenda when any two say that it would. So sounds hopeful. It's just about good governance. There's nothing wrong with that kind of thing. So I support it, and I hope that all of you can, if you will. It's up to you, of course. Take care.
Thank you. Anyone else? Going once, twice. Public comments closed. We'd be at payment of the bills. I would ask for a motion to pay the bills.
Make a motion to pay the bills.
Is there a
Second.
second? There's been a motion to pay the bills. Any discussion on the motion or question on the bills? Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Trustee DeVore?
Aye.
Trustee Gett?
Aye.
Trustee Reichert?
Aye.
Trustee Wigginton?
Aye.
Trustee Weisenberg?
Aye.
All right, that passes. The bills are paid. Next would be the treasurer's report. Madam Clerk?
As of the end of December, there was $8,472,266.22 in the village-controlled accounts. In the water-controlled accounts, there was $2,284,245.56.
You have heard the treasurer's report. I would ask for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to adopt the treasurer's report. Any questions on the report or discussion on the motion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Trustee DeVore?
Aye.
Trustee Gett?
Aye.
Trustee Reichert?
Aye.
Trustee Wigginton?
Aye.
Trustee Weisenberg?
Aye.
All right, that passes. Trustee Gett,
I make a motion to adjourn.
is there a second?
Second.
There is. All those in favor of the motion to adjourn signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? We're adjourned.
Hey, Mayor, do you have a few minutes?